Where are we going?
In overview,
Okay.
topicality,
Okay.
ISCOM, and then cosmopolitan, state of exception, solvency. Everybody ready?
Mm-hmm.
First of all, you're going to vote them down prima facie because they are not topical. That is a standard for this, for debate, that for fairness in education. This is the main reason why you're going to vote against them, because they are not topical. They've conceded that to our definition, and that is the reason that they are not topical. Our standards are going to be extended across. I will talk about this later, but this is the main reason why you're going to vote against them. Next, they have dropped their entire case. So any hint of a possibility of any of the impacts we have either on either of their advantages or for their business confidence. This is the main one we're going for. Any hint of an impact of business confidence is to vote against a case because they have dropped their case essentially, and I will go through that on the line by line later. On to the topicality. The two ways he dropped, they said that we meet and we agree to their definition of definition that a judicial system is overruled concerning the identical question of law, that it must be the same perception of what the original decision. They agree to this and say that they meet and by saying that the overruling here on cosmopolitan. However, cosmopolitan was not even mentioned in this system. The career decision was overruled on different grounds. This means that they do not overrule on the identical question of law, which is in direct opposition to the earlier scenario. They said that this doesn't matter, however, but once they have already agreed to our definition of overrule, they are no longer topical. The reason why you must vote for this topical argument is because of these standards that this limits the government. Allowing the affirmative to overrule on the grounds unrelated to this topic explodes it. Just by the affirmative to make to overrule on different things that are totally unrelated and basing different advantages off of those different standards for voting. If they can overrule on some obscure standard of the Constitution and base all of their advantages off of this frame of the Constitution, this explodes the topic and makes the negative research burden 10 times more great than the affirmative research burden. This also destroys the ground by ruling on the option grounds of contradiction of the literature base. They can produce infinite number of situations that don't have literature base for negative ground against them, and also this makes it extra topical because they're talking about things that weren't in the original decision. This is infinitely aggressive and leads to 9-minute plan texts and is a reason to vote against it because extra topicality is bad in debate no matter what, and also they don't have any solvency on this. This is a reason to reject their case even more because the Supreme Court cannot overrule on international issues. They must overrule on domestic policy and in the Constitution, Bill of Rights, and in our current government. They cannot overrule the Supreme Court decisions on international law. They have conceded the standard, extended across. They don't have any solvency because of this. This is a voting issue for fairness and topicality has been extended across the realm for fairness because limits the ground and the ground basis. Because of doing this, it destroys the fairness. You must vote them against this because if a ballot for them says, okay, they can do this, next time they'll take it a step further and more abuse will occur in subsequent rounds. And also for education because it destroys solvency. You're saying that the Supreme Court can overrule on international issues. However, by advocating for the affirmative, you are agreeing to this and you're destroying our educational purpose in this round, which is the most important reason why we debate is to increase our education, and we can only have a real debate if our fairness is upheld. This is a reason to vote against them, extend this across on business confidence. The only thing they're saying, they've not read any evidence against us. However, we've read multiple cards, extend this across. The basic scenario is the business confidence is currently high. However, judicial predictability is key to business confidence, and overruling on precedent destroys predictability, leading to a decrease in the economy, leading to nuclear war and extinction. Extend this scenario across. The only thing they have said is going to the line on it is that you cannot predict judicial ruling. However, our second card in the business confidence shell says that Roberts is quoted as saying, "I will be ruling conservatively." This is how you can predict when the Chief Justice, when Roberts says he's going to predict to rule conservatively. And also this links because decisions not even related with the economy influence how businesses look on predictability on the Supreme Court. Without businesses being able to look to the Supreme Court and saying this is how they're going to rule, they will not be able to predict what happens in the future. And this is based upon the current scenario, not some obscure 93 or 2000 scenario, which is the current stance of the business confidence and is the current stance of the Supreme Court Robert courts. This leads to a decrease in the business confidence, a decrease in the economy. They say that they don't need evidence for how ridiculous this is. However, I've read two cards, extended them across, of how a decrease of the economy leads to extinction, that leads to genocide and murder, all these different things, because when the economy is terrible in the United States, it creates panic worldwide. That leads to extinction. When everyone is dead, when the affirmative plan happens, you must vote them against for this. Any hint of this because they've dropped their case means that you must vote for the negative. Okay, if you are going to vote for Cosmopolitan, which I assume would advocate, you cannot, because they make racism and stigmatization worse because of victimization critique that they have said nothing against. They say Cosmopolitan is exactly what we are at, is exactly like, they just say, okay, yeah, your victimhood, but Cosmopolitan, this is what is best. And they say it creates a slippery slope for torture and genocide, however, extend across that victimizing them by creating a third-party sovereignty for them and using the law, and because of their discourse in this round, creates the stigmatization of the detainees and creates them to powerless and normal, which is the worst form of discrimination. This is the worst impact for Cosmopolitan. They make this worse. This is a turn to this entire matter. If you're going to vote for this, you're going to vote for the negative. If you're persuaded by the 2AR of why you're going to vote for this, then you must vote for us. And because the three implementations and the in-round implications that they've not talked about this at all, this makes us view detainees lower, and also it extends across that it makes detainees view themselves lower and creates them not to be able to solve for themselves at all, and also it makes the oppressors view themselves as more higher and important. Extend this across. These are three implementations of the stigmatization impact of the Cosmopolitan. And also, you're not going to vote for the state of acceptance because we've spread a significant amount of defense and turns to their advantage. Senators Kahul in 04 and Dali in 04, that Gamma is inherently flawed and that Gamma leads to he said thinking of utopianism leads to totalitarianism, and that leads to genocide and is a bad thing. You cannot vote for that. And also, extend across Hamden that the status quo has changed, which is a reason why you cannot set us.
All right, where are you going?